also smeared veterans like myself for calling for an end to this regime change war. Just 2 days ago, the New York Times put out an article saying that I'm a Russian asset and an Assad apologist and all these different smears. This morning, a CNN commentator said on national television that I'm an asset of Russia. Completely despicable.
Would you hit that?
Most definitely, I hit that.
Yeah, of course, you have to.
I did that.
I agreed with the great job she did, and I went on the floor and got you votes. I got votes for that bill. I convinced people to vote for it. So let's get those things straight, too.
You sick sons of bitches. I mean, you walk in that door on your 2 legs, all fat and cocky, and looking at me in my chair, and you tell me it's all in my head? I hope that both of you have sons, handsome, beautiful, articulate sons who are talented and star athletes, and they have their legs taken away. I mean, I pray you know that pain and that hurt.
I don't need lessons from you on courage, political or personal. Everyone on this stage is determined to get something done. Everyone on this stage recognizes, or at least I thought we did, that the problem is not other Democrats who don't agree with your particular idea of how to handle this. The problem is the National Rifle Association and their enablers in Congress, and we should be united in taking the fight to them.
That's a mischaracterization. Anderson, I got to answer this.
You who thinks everything in the world is gay, nigga, you gay. You gay. Y'all niggas are gay. Nigga, you gay. That's gay. Don't find any of this gay at all.
Senator Warren, I just want to say that I was surprised to hear that you did not agree with me that on this subject of what should be the rules around corporate responsibility for these big tech companies, when I called on Twitter to suspend Donald Trump's account, that you did not agree, and I would urge you to join me.
I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all.
If we're going to talk seriously about breaking up big tech, then we should ask if people are taking money from the big tech executives. If we're going to talk seriously about breaking up big drug companies, we should ask if people are financing their campaigns by taking money from big drug executives. If we are going to talk about Wall Street and having some serious regulation over Wall Street, we should ask if people are funding their campaigns by taking money from those executives.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. Let's bring you in.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
And I'm tired of hearing, whenever I say these things, oh, it's Republican talking points. You are making Republican talking points right now in this room by coming out for a plan that's going to do that. I think there is a better way that is bold, that will cover more people, and it's the one we should get behind.
Who the fuck are you?
So really what you're saying, Mayor Pete, is that you would continue to support having U.S. troops in Syria for an indefinite period of time to continue this regime change war that has caused so many refugees to flee Syria, that you would continue to have our country involved in a war that has undermined our national security. You would continue this policy of the U.S. actually providing arms and support to terrorist groups in Syria, like al-Qaeda, HTS, al-Nusra, and others, because they are the ones who have been the ground force in this regime change war. That's really what you're saying.
This is like, you see how awkward my first dates are. It's a robot. I'm getting nervous around a robot, a very pretty robot. What do I just say hello to? Yeah. Hi, Sophia.
Hello, Jimmy.
Oh, my God.
Mayor Pete.
So let me be clear on this. Costs will go up for the wealthy. They will go up for big corporations, and for middle-class families, they will go down. I will not sign a bill into law that does not lower costs for middle-class families.
It costs $30 trillion. Guess what? That's over $3 trillion a year. It's more than the entire federal budget. Let me finish, okay?
You'll both get in.
If you eliminated the entire Pentagon, every single thing, plane, ship, troop, the buildings, everything, satellites, it would pay for a total of 4 months. 4 months. Where do you get the rest? Where does it come from?
I will tell you what the issue is here. The issue is whether the Democratic Party has the guts to stand up to the healthcare industry, which made $100 billion in profit, whether we have the guts to stand up to the corrupt, price-fixing pharmaceutical industry, which is charging us the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. And if we don't have the guts to do that, if all we can do is take their money, we should be ashamed of ourselves.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Warren is 100% right that we're in the midst of the most extreme winner-take-all economy in history. And a wealth tax makes a lot of sense in principle. The problem is that it's been tried in Germany, France, Denmark, Sweden, and all those countries ended up repealing it because it had massive implementation problems and did not generate the revenue that they'd projected.
How come nobody's talking about this?
You're completely sure of the math. Look at him. That's my quant.
You're what?
My quantitative. My math specialist. Look at him. You notice anything different about him? Look at his face.
That's pretty racist.
Look at his eyes. I'll give you a hint. His name's Yang. He won a national math competition in China. He doesn't even speak English. Yeah, I'm sure of the math. Actually, my name's Jiang, and I do speak English.
All I'm saying is you make it to the top 0.1%, then pitch in 2 cents so every other kid in America has a chance to make it.
Thank you.
That's
Secretary
what
Castro.
this is about.
But I want to give a reality check here to Elizabeth, because no one on this stage wants to protect billionaires. Not even the billionaire wants to protect billionaires. We just have different approaches. Your idea is not the only idea.
You smoke that shit? No, sir. You trying to get my daughter high? You smoke that shit?
What up, man? Listen, home, by popular demand, Pnoid's now selling merch. Man, look here, all right? We got 3 designs. We got the Pnoid Gorilla regular avatar. We have the Red Dead Redemption. And on top of that, man, listen, we got motherfucking Angry Gorilla, all right? We got t-shirts. We have onesies for your baby. Take your baby and turn it into a baby gorilla. On top of that, we got pillows. Come cuddle up with the gorilla. And on top of that, we got cell phones and mugs. Cop you some merch right now. I was like,
well, I was worried it's time for me to say, all right, Tom Pease, we are live.
Yo, what up, and welcome to motherfucking Pnoid Live. See, I had no motherfucking idea that legitimately, like we were actually going live right now because, like, for some reason, YouTube just made me sign the fuck back in for, like, no goddamn reason. I don't know what the situation is.
Dude,
but yeah, anyway.
I
apologize for us being late, man. Like, we went to go live and it just said nope.
Yeah, I hit the go live button and nothing happened. I was just like, what the fuck's going on here? After
I don't know,
doing a whole bunch of fucking jumping jacks and then reinstalling Streamlabs, it finally told me that my video card driver was out of date, so I had to reinstall that shit. And anyway, here we are. Right? We've done worse. We're only 20 minutes late. We've done worse.
Yo, Mike Q, that's Tulsi Gabbard. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I told you that in the comment section. I replied to you, so you know it was Tulsi Gabbard. But anyway, she's from Hawaii. She's super hot. none of us would vote for her, but we'd all fuck her. You know, I mean, let's be real about
Well,
that.
and
you know
she's not batshit crazy like the rest of the Democrats on stage.
No,
right?
she is batshit crazy.
No,
like, yo,
she's
nothing misunderstood.
I don't.
She,
I
yo,
don't.
she
I
wants,
don't think she's batshit. I just think she's like I think she's the normal amount of Democratic crazy, like kind of what I would expect Democrats to be.
No, she still believes in communism, bro. Like she still wants Medicare for all and like fucking free college and all that shit. But on top of that, she wants us to get out of the wars. Which we're all in agreement. We want to get the fuck out of the wars. Everybody agrees.
You know, I
about
listened to her on Joe Rogan talking about that stuff too, and they're just like, she even said like, well, the idea is to get healthcare access to as many people as possible, and the challenge has always been how are we going to pay for it, right? So she's not like Elizabeth Warren who refuses to even answer that question, or Bernie Sanders at least. You know, he put out a plan and said like, yeah, if you're a middle class family, your taxes are going to go up, but in the long run, you're going to save money because you don't have to worry about that doctor's bill. Like at least Sanders, when he wrote his proposal, he admitted there's a trade-off. While other people like Elizabeth Warren and Pete Buttigieg, they want to say that you're gonna like everything's gonna be the same, and we're just gonna make billionaires pay for everything, and there's not enough billionaires in the world. It's not gonna happen.
Well, like we already went through this when like fucking Bernie Sanders brought out his proposal. I was like, Zell, shut up, nigga. Like, yo, I'm fucking busy doing my show right now. I don't have fucking time to be dealing with your goddamn nonsense at the moment, for fuck's sake. Anyway, right? Fucking yo, man, listen. Or like, yo, we done burnt down a whole fucking YouTube channel. Like, nigga, it is what it is. Okay, like that shit's gonna happen from time to time, and it's just when me and you are arsonist son, it just sometimes we're gonna catch a whole YouTube channel on fire and burn it to the goddamn ground because that's what we do. All right, it's not our fault. Okay, we have something inside of us that makes us fucking do that shit. It's just a fact of fucking life. But anyway, back to where the hell we were talking about. We covered this originally when Bernie Sanders brought out his proposal because like he was like, oh, this libertarian think group thing, right? They stood here and they said that it would end up costing us $32 trillion over 10 years, right? Which is less money than we're spending right now on how much we end up having. It was 28 and 20 between 28 32,000. He chose 28, right? So, and then he goes, well, it's less money than we spend right now, right? But the bitch is that the reality was that you would like in the end of the study, it said the only way we would be able to pay for this is if we doubled everybody's taxes. Not just, the rich, but everybody, the middle class, the poor, everybody's taxes would have to be doubled in order to fucking pay.
Yeah, well, and not to mention that, but they always point to those Scandinavian countries that are incredibly small. They like really, I think Britain would be a good place to look at, right? There's a lot of people in Britain that are not happy with their NHS. There's long waits. They fuck a lot of shit up. It's a system that's tied down in bureaucracy because it's trying to do too much for too many people. Canada is like kind of has the same problem. Now we want to do the same thing, but we want to do it with for 320 million people. That's like 10 times the next closest country worth of people that we're going to try to serve, and they think it's going to work. Like honestly, yeah. I think federalism is the answer to this. I think we need to start convincing Democrats, dude, check it out. If you get the federal government to stop sucking up so much of the resources, then maybe in your state where everybody loves universal health care, you guys can have your own state healthcare service.
Well, like, yeah, I would absolutely agree with that mentality. Like as far as I'm concerned, I think that's the way we should be looking at things is like going back to a state-based fucking system. Like if your state wants free healthcare, then your state can have free healthcare, but you have to fucking pay for it in your state. We shouldn't be federally subsidizing it across the goddamn nation.
Well, and then you
have... Joe Biden brought it up. He's like, dude, look, fucking if we cut out all the Pentagon spending, he said fucking every ship, tanker, fucking, every tank, every gun, every airplane, all the buildings. If we took all of this out all together every fucking year, it would only cover 4 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, nigga, I can't believe you just said that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
well,
Because
that
that is amazing.
That was Moderate Joe that's appealing to a whole bunch of Democratic voters who were like, we don't necessarily want government ran healthcare. We just want it to be more affordable and maybe have something to take care of, like some sort of government program to take care of us when we're in a gap of coverage. Right? Like,
and by the way, who is that broad with the big nose?
Oh my god, I have to look it up.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no clue who the fuck that bitch is.
She's a huge cunt. I mean, I've only seen her in the House hearing questions or Senate hearing questions.
Like, she looks like the broad who ruins every party. You know what I'm saying? Like, she looks like the bitch who gets mad about everything.
It's fucking Kyle's mom from South Park. That's who that bitch is.
Wow, cause mama the bitch, the big old bitch, the biggest bitch in the whole wide world, the biggest bitch, never want to bitch you the bitch of all the boys and girls.
Thank you, Tom P. Thank you. Right on cue.
Bitch on Monday, bitch on Tuesday, bitch on Wednesday, Thursday too. Just to change on Saturday, she's a major red super duper bitch. Yo, fucking. Oh man, fucking, that was my shit back in the day. Fucking, I used to love that goddamn movie.
Man, we should there's another candidate for like shoving her face into that video. Every time Kyle's mom shows up, just put that fucking senator's face in there.
Yo, man, like, here's the thing, like, that broad, like, that's why I put up, like, that Martin Lawrence, like, who the fuck are you? Like, I don't know who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
Like, why are you talking right now? Why are you on stage? I don't even know your fucking name. Like, I know pretty much everybody the fuck else who's up there talking. Like, I recognize.
She's an uninteresting also ran. I guess the other thing that was kind of cool about that debate, I guess, that I saw was Tulsi called CNN despicable for running a whole segment on how she might be a Russian asset.
Yeah, I think she might be a Russian asset.
Amy
Klobuchar. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Kyle's mom's name is Amy Klobuchar.
Everybody get your memes going. Get your memes going, niggas. Get your memes going. Right? Like, yo. But I'm saying, like, legit, like, who the fuck was that? Like, I have no clue who that bitch was. And by the way, I think Tulsi might be a Russian asset. Just being real. You know what I'm saying? Just being fucking honest with you. Like, that broad, like, when she started talking, she was like, well, let me tell you about what's going on with the Middle East. We are supporting Al Nusra. And I'm like, yo, is this bitch a goddamn robot? Like, why is she talking like, and she starts moving her head all like real deliberately and shit. And she's like looking back at like, is this bitch legitimate? She might be a fucking robot, like on some real, like she might be on some MK Ultra shit. Like, it's broad. She's over here being controlled by MK Ultra, running the Agenda 21.
Even if that's true, still the most seen Democrat running.
Oh my fucking God. Jesus fucking Christ. This bit I don't know, man. I don't know.
So, and this all harps back on everybody gets on stage talking about how we let our allies die and what Trump did was irresponsible. When all he did is he fucking pulled troops out of Syria. It was only like what, 50 troops or some shit, less than that. It's not even enough. Like, we need to. Yeah,
it was like 11. It was like 1,100.
Yeah, but from the northern border, it wasn't that many. But it doesn't matter. We need to fucking pull out of a lot of places. And all of a sudden, they're sitting there. Yeah, that was. We're all sitting here. Liberals are just taking the line. Like, I swear to God, as soon as the anti-Trump crowd feeds anything to these people with Trump derangement syndrome, just any excuse to justify hating an action Trump takes that they otherwise would support, they're just going to mimic it. And this one is like, we have blood on our hands. It's like, no, we don't. Turkey has blood on their hands. Turkey's in the fucking EU, right? Where's Angela Merkel on this? Right? If you care so much about the Kurds, like, you know what? They're our ally too. We're in NATO with Turkey.
Like, yo, it's one of their people. Like, okay. Wait. Look. This pipeline is for Russia. What this whole thing about is the goddamn pipeline, and it's for Europe. Why isn't Europe handling this? Why is it our military is doing all this shit? Why?
Exactly.
Why is that a fucking thing?
I don't know how the first thing they jump to is when Turkey decides to attack some fucking group that we weren't really allies with. We do what we always do in the Middle East. We side with some bad guys, just like we used to side with Osama bin Laden to fight other people we hate, right? It's the whole enemy of our enemy thing, right? So we used them to fight against Russia, and down the road they turned out to be complete I mean, we knew they were. And it's the same thing with the Kurds, right? We were fighting with them. They were going to fight ISIS anyway, and they're like, all right, well, you guys aren't our problem, ISIS is, so we'll go, kill ISIS and then fuck off. And that's what we did. We took out ISIS and fucked off. They're on their own then. Like, they're not really our friends. They're in a 5-way civil war in Syria. And then on top of that, they got beef with Turkey, which is a NATO country and also an EU member. I don't understand how you could really spin this to say we have blood on our hands.
Yeah, and we shouldn't even be in Syria in the first goddamn place.
Exactly.
For fuck's sake. Here's the thing. If somebody came here and did that, or if somebody went to Canada and did that, if say fucking, I don't know, goddamn Nigeria said, you know what, Canada, we're going to run a pipeline right through, okay, and we're going to send it right to the United States because we need this oil. And they've said no, and he said, fuck you, we're doing it anyway. You know what I mean? And we're going to fucking start civil war in your goddamn country to overthrow your ass. You know what I mean? Why is it that we're okay with that there? You know what I mean? I don't give a fuck about this pipeline. I don't care about Europeans. Literally, in 20 years, there's not going to be any fucking Europeans left. They're all going to be raped and murdered by the fucking Muslims.
That's why.
Why am I concerned with it?
That's why they always try to sell it to the American people who just don't understand. They'll sit there and be like, Assad is a monster that murders his own people. And I was like, did you see who's trying to take over? Right, none of these people are particularly good guys. You have a whole bunch of supervillains vying for the top spot. That's what you have over there. It's not
these guys make gay people play hot potato with live hand grenades and shit.
For
you know
real.
what I mean? And you're over here fucking whining about Assad being a bad person when he has not murdered a fucking Christian. You know what I mean? He stands here and he doesn't do anything to anybody. I have never heard of Assad before we were trying to throw him the fuck over.
Well, for the most part, you know what? All he's doing is fucking with his own people, man. It's up to their country to decide what they want to do, right? I don't even care.
No. He's keeping the retards in line.
Yeah,
the same as we do here.
Yeah, kind of like Saddam Hussein probably was actually doing in Iraq. I'm just being real here.
Yeah, let's be honest here, all right? When you have a population of sand monkeys who would prefer to get Honda Civics and yank the wheel at 100 miles an hour full of fucking explosives into anything that they would fucking see as being important, I feel as though maybe keeping those people in line might be a good idea. I'm spitballing here, you know what I mean? But I think, you know what I'm saying?
You just called them all sand monkeys. It was nice. It was nice knowing you folks. That's it. That's our last hate speech straight.
You know what I mean? And just like Gaddafi in Libya, you need a strong man to keep retards in line. When your collective IQ of your country doesn't equal the population,
because
might
of too much fucking
stand
inbreeding.
Keep them in line. Yeah. Dude, you need to take care of things. And then on top of that, you have 45 to 50% of your country is completely unfucking employed, right? And they're only counting the male population. I don't know, maybe, just maybe, you know what I'm saying? You should stand here and keep these individuals under wraps before they start blowing shit the fuck up. That might be an important thing because civil unrest comes from individuals not being productive and having the money to do things. And every time the price of oil spikes or goes down, your fucking money all of a sudden dries up and your currency becomes fucking worthless because it's pegged to the American fucking dollar and not any real fucking currency or any real fucking money. This is all retarded.
Well,
the CIA runs the goddamn news. It just is what it is. You know what I mean?
So, and here's what's messed up about that. You say that, I was like, dude, that's some ridiculous conspiracy theory. And I was like, look at CNN's payroll. Look at how many ex-CIA, Obama CIA people that were top level, John Brennan, I guess, has a contract with them now. McCabe signed a contract with them. Like, Comey's always on there. Like, take a look at who they're hiring. Like, these are. Why is that appropriate for a news organization? I can understand wanting to get an interview here and there, but they're on their fucking payroll.
Yo, Psycho, the oil sheiks have to run the country. What are you just gonna let like random individuals run it? You're just gonna like people that walk around in nightgowns, you're gonna let them just randomly pick who the fuck they want?
I think he said ruin the country, not run the country.
The oil sheiks don't ruin the country. The people ruin the country. Okay.
Well, yeah. So it's there's something to it. So it's the same problem the Saudis have, and it's the problem that they have right now because they've just forever relied on some centralized power handing out gifts to their people for all their oil money, and kind of like Venezuela, but just to a less extreme extent. They don't have to like produce any real things, or most of the people don't work. We go over there and we help them out, and they honestly, yeah, some of the people might kiss some American ass for a little bit, but everybody else looks at it and is like, yeah, you're hired help, right? You're worthless to me. You're the help, because we're just protecting our interest in the oil. So
right, they took control of the country's oil. They don't pay taxes on them. Yo, that's not what. Wait, fucking like, yo, which country are we talking about here? Because like, yo, we need specifics about this. Like, because if you're talking Saudi Arabia, the royals own the motherfucking, they own the oil, and then they pass down proceeds to the fucking people. Like, something like 60%, 60 or 65% of the people live on motherfucking oil.
And they don't have to work.
Yeah. I mean, like there's a whole lot of shit going on in these countries. Oh, Libya, like yo, Libya's nigga, like yo, that's not even a country anymore.
Yeah, so everything about the Middle East is just irrational, complicated, and violent. That's there's no getting around it. There's not all these places that there's endless conflict. There's no easy answer.
I'll be honest with you. Libya was not a terrible place to live when Gaddafi was running things. Let's be perfectly honest about this.
Yeah, compared to the rest, I mean, it's the same thing like Iran before we overthrew the Shah. It was actually
Libya. I don't think anybody owned like Libya is kind of like the Wild West at this point. Like, nigga, like you can do whatever. Like you can go there and blow up shit with fucking hand grenades. And like it's kind of whatever. Libya was kind of nice in comparison to the rest of the places around it. Like compared to Egypt, which was like completely fucked. And compared to fucking Palestine, which is completely fucked, and compared like fucking a lot of the countries that surround Libya, it was like Libya was a good country. Like, yo, they had a fucking mass amount of social structure, fucking college education, fucking, and I mean, fucking parliament and fucking running roads, running water, police force, fucking law and order. Like, nigga, like, yo, they were legit. You know what I'm saying? The fucking, I mean, decent. There was a decent fucking country. You know what I mean? Like Libya was kind of nice in comparison to say like Iraq, or compared to like fucking I don't know Saudi Arabia or Pakistan.
Pakistan's another shithole that God.
This is what I'm saying. Like these places are fucking awful, and they're better off with strong man in fucking front of them. At least then you have somebody you can negotiate with who understands it. Like, like the people who want to take over shit, like they just want to take over shit for the money. They don't want to really run things. Like the motherfuckers who are in charge, at least they know they're responsible to the people.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
It's not like they have a population like Hong Kong that actually has some understanding of, liberty and individual rights, and they're trying to push back on a communist government. Instead, you have people being like, yeah, we want to run the country with our money and enforce our brutal laws on the population, not yours.
Yeah, they're like, hey, you're too liberal. Like these are the niggas that you're fighting against.
Like,
I mean? Like that's
what you're throwing the homosexuals off of roofs. We want to torture them for 7 days before we kill them, right? That's
yeah. Like they're like, hey, look, man, we did.
Or maybe it's the other way around. It's like, look, we're gonna kill the homosexuals. We just want to do it humanely.
No. These people who like are coming out, right? fucking these individuals who are coming out and like fucking doing these violent revolutions, they're not like revolutions where you would think like, oh man, we want free shit and college and all that type of stuff. They're more like, hey, we're down 10% on the amount of females that we stoned last year. I think we need to do more of that, right? Like, fucking, hey, our daughters, what I'm saying, are not getting their clitorises cut off at an early enough age. Like that these are the people who like are fucking overthrowing these fucking countries. So like let's keep these things in mind when we bitch about, fucking what's going on over there. Like the individuals who are in charge for the most part and who were in charge were secular. You know what I mean? Like fucking guys like fucking Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi and fucking Assad and shit. He's not out here conducting, these people aren't out here conducting holy war. They're just trying to keep the country running. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah,
that
that's. I mean,
simple.
that's probably how they get into power, right? They tell everybody like, look, we'll give you a little bit of everything as long as you guys don't fuck with each other, and if you do, we're gonna come in heavy handed and
Yep.
murder your whole population.
And they're like Saddam Hussein gassed his own people. You ever think maybe those people were trying to kill the other people? Like you ever think of that for a minute? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
those people were
they
a
show you the
fucking
picture of the
problem.
women and children, and it's like it turns out,
Yeah.
oh, it's like Trump said, there's no angels. Kind of hard to find an angel these days.
Yeah. I mean, look here, man. They're like legit. Like, fucking, that's why I like Donald Trump. That was the first thing that really turned me on to Donald Trump. He said, like, fucking, like, what? You think fucking they're not bad guys? You know what I mean? Like, fucking, like, what, man? You think we're good guys? Like, there's a lot of niggas with blood in their hands. Like, yo, whoa, this dude's bringing secrets out.
Like when Donald Trump sticks to the kind of shit he says he wants to do, and he gets opposed for it, that's when I really, go Trump on this serious shit, right?
Yeah,
he made the right move, 100%. And everybody that's giving him backlash, Republicans and Democrats are just doing it because, they oppose Trump for everything. And some of them are neocons. A lot of them are neocons too. Republicans, the Republicans that did it, just fucking neocons.
Yo, Jeff Vader's in the chat. What up, man? Been a minute since we've seen you. How the fuck you doing? Welcome, my brother. Welcome. You know what I mean? Fucking like, yo, it's just been a minute. You know what I mean? Fucking, it is what it is. By the way, we're gonna say it up to Brandon Massera, Blue Collar Canuck, motherfucking Mike Q, my Psycho 216, my brother. Fucking always nice to see everybody the fuck out here in the chat. You know how the hell this operates. But yeah, man, like fucking, yeah, things is most definitely, what I'm saying, most definitely fucking the whole deal. Like Pablo Escobar was a real nigga, but he had to do what he had to do, kept his empire strong. Like, yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Like, it's hard when, what I mean, you're out here running things and the government really doesn't give a fuck. Like it's all these situations are not like America. Like in America is so used to American ways of doing things that like you would have no idea what you were doing if you stepped into a different lifestyle. It's just like fucking, because I grew up in the Northeast and shit, in the city. And like the idea of like taking a cop out, you know what I mean, in like the middle of a fucking street and taking his gun and his badge from him and his fucking walkie talkie and telling him like either you can have the perp or you can have your life. It's up to you. You know what I mean? To y'all would go, oh my God, that's fucking terrible. But to us, we go, yo, look, fucking, if we don't have control over our neighborhoods, like there ain't enough fucking cops to save it. Like it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like these guys keep pedophiles out of the fucking neck of the woods, make sure the kids are able to play safely. And I mean, and control everybody from doing dumb shit. Like, so there's a lot of shit when it comes down to it, that like people really don't understand about strongmen. Like all that law and order shit's cute until like, you take out somebody who was holding everything the fuck together and keeping everybody peaceful. Like sometimes cutting the head off a snake ain't a good idea.
Yeah. So remember whenever the news was pushing about how awesome it was that we were setting up democratic elections in Iraq? How'd that turn out? Right. You talk about people Egypt? Not accepting results of elections.
How about Egypt?
Oh yeah.
How well did that go?
Yeah. Exactly. Like it turns out the population really does just want to elect some major fucking prick to run the country. That's all there is to it.
They elect, like you're like, yeah, man, they're gonna fucking use their democratic freedom, you know what I mean? And Nope, Muslim Brotherhood, right in all seats. Like, yep. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, immediately go to people who hate us, fucking. So that's kind of how it worked. Yeah, like this is kind of how the fuck it works. Look at Mickey Thompson's dudes who tried to kill their right hand. That had to kill their right hand to balance out power. Yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, fucking yeah. that's kind of what the situation is out there, you know. And I say Tulsi's great for bringing it up, you know what I mean, and calling people out, but I'd like to see somebody who's not a robot say it. That's why I liked it when Ron Paul said it, because that motherfucker said it with goddamn conviction.
Yeah, well, and he talked about like, you know, he let people know, it's like, hey, like, you know, and in one place we're sitting here fighting against a terrorist group, and in this other place we're giving them weapons, right? This is something that actually happened. And you know, just pointing out the things we talked about, right? That they sell these things to the American people like we're going out, we're going to take out the bad guy, and you think that these, you know, the population and the people just want some good guy in there to hold the peace and make things like America. And it's just not true. It's not the case. You have all these warring factions of ideologues roaming around the Middle East, and there's
you have to, and you got to remember, like, most of these people, like, their culture is older than ours is, and it did not evolve out of ours. You know what I mean? Like, ours didn't evolve out of theirs, and theirs didn't evolve out. They're whole different people, like, completely.
With Joe Biden running, if it wasn't, you know, if it wasn't Trump up for re-election, I would actually say, fuck it, Ron Paul 2020, right? If 78 is not too old to run for president, let's at least go get our guy back.
Right, yo, Ryan himself's in the chat, right? We got to fight him over there so they don't like come over here.
Yeah, that's another dumbass fucking argument. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is stupid.
It's circular logic. They're just like, the reason they want to go over here is because we keep we go over there.
Yep. Like, man, look, you know, and the bitches is we keep bringing them over.
Yeah, that too.
Like, yo, like when they caught them individuals with the compound, and they had like 4 dead bodies and like a dead broad and a dead baby in a motherfucking tunnel and shit. You know, like, it's just, man, listen, and that was in like Arizona or fucking some shit, or Nevada or something like that. And you're just standing here going, like, man, listen, like,
or the members of Al Qaeda that
we have to have
over here for 9/11, like, even, right? Like, they got over here legally.
One of our politicians has to like stand up and have a goddamn conversation with the American people. Like, just tell them the truth. Like, we don't have the money or the like, yo, look, we let women have freedom and they fucked us to death with it. All right. That's what happened. They took a freedom cock and shoved it right up our ass and said, you know what? We're not going to have any more babies. So guess what? We don't have the money to pay for anything anymore. Let's be perfectly honest with the American people. We can't afford long term to keep running fucking deficits and fucking paying for this fucking bullshit.
Well, and we're not even close to being able to talk about that, right? Like, it's the kind of shit that mainstream conservatives bitch about. We can't even get past calling it Islamic terrorism, right? You can't.
Like, yo,
we can't get past calling illegal immigrants illegal immigrants. They want to call them undocumented aliens. And these are like very mainstream things that if we can't even win on that, heaven forbid we're going to be able to tell the truth about anything else.
Yo, man, fucking, dude, fucking, I'm a fucking Ron Paul guy. Yo, Rand Paul,
Dude, look, Rand Paul is Ron Paul light, but he's the best we've got right now.
I don't really like Rand Paul. I just don't like Rand Paul. I don't like the cut of his jib. I don't think
he's not as fiery or as informed as his father.
Yeah, he doesn't, and he looks like his dad is the bitch, right? Because his dad looks like a wimp, but he starts speaking and like, nigga, you just hear like trumpets in the background and shit.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Rand Paul is like a version of Ron Paul that's always stoned.
Yeah, it's just, man, listen, like how do I put this, man? Like, again, like, yo, he just doesn't have the presence that his dad had. So I think he's unelectable as far as shit's concerned, right? Like, his ideas are okay, you know what I mean? But he is much more willing to deal than his dad was.
Yeah, they're close enough. I mean, okay, here's cool things that, like, just what I think today, right? Rand Paul blocked a bill from or the resolution from hitting the Senate that was condemning Trump's withdrawal from Syria. And the reason he did it is, it was like, look, we weren't there constitutionally to begin with. So if you really want to condemn them for the withdrawal, how about you declare the war, declare the target, declare what we're going to do and the reason for being there, and then we'll tell Turkey that we're going to go to war if you invade the Kurds, right? But until you do that constitutionally, there's no grounds to condemn Trump for taking troops out of there that should have never been there to begin with.
Yo, look, here's where I'm at. I agree with Trump in the mentality of these individuals, like somebody has to pay for all this shit, right? Like, for instance, like all this is about a pipeline for Europe, right? This is what this is about. It's about natural gas and oil pipelines for fucking Europe to be able to feed them and their energy needs. And if we want to do this, then we need to stand here and be compensated for such. You know what I mean? Or either that or Europe needs
so I
to
don't
do
even
it.
want to go that far. Our military shouldn't be for hire. Our military should be for serving America's interest.
I'm cool with our military being for hire. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with us making money off of it. You know what I mean? Like, because that allows us to be able to train troops and, you know what I mean, have money to fund operations and things of this nature. I don't have an issue with that. You know what I mean?
Not,
Like,
yeah, I don't think no. Not a single American should die just because we want to get paid to make a coin to serve somebody else's interest.
well, no, I mean, because we're using our military, so like fucking like our military is getting built up from it. You know what I mean? Like these guys are earning the goddamn paycheck. I don't have a problem with that, right? Like because the whole mentality of the reason why you don't want to have standing armies isn't in general things because it costs you fucking money. So if I can make money off my standing military while it's sitting around not doing nothing, I don't have a fucking problem with that, right? But like, you know, again, like this is kind of on that level. Like for instance, you know, like fucking if we patrol the seas for our trade routes and shit, right? Like, and for our fucking military patrolling the seas for our trade routes, which is something we have to do, right? On the back end, you have people who are doing trade with us and we're protecting their shipments as well. So they should be forced to stand here and pay a fucking fee for us fucking protecting their shit from pirates.
Yeah, hold on. In that case, you're talking about that's our interest, right? It's already serving our interest. And then saying like, look, if you want to use these trade routes, man, you no more freeloading off of America, right? You don't have to put your own ships out there. But if you're not going to contribute to the defense, then pay us.
Well, like, yo, okay, so Michael Crumlin, let me put it like this, right? The only reason we have a country right now at this moment, the only reason we still have a country is because we use our military to fucking pay for shit. Like our military is upholding our dollar's value at the moment. That's the only way any of this works. We maintain the ability of the world to have a stable currency to use and us to be able to have our lifestyle by us using our military.
Well, yeah, so this is a word that, very few people like to bring up, but the petrodollar.
Yeah, the petrodollar, you know what I'm saying? So like, okay, what do we do now? You know what I mean? At this point, like, so if our military already has to be there in order to provide for fucking, you know what I mean, defense against countries trying to use something other than our currency to trade for oil, right? So that we can continue to live the lifestyle that we're living. Because if we didn't do this, the whole thing collapses, right? Which I'm cool with, right? Like I'm cool with the mentality, but I don't know if y'all niggas is ready, like because this country is not going to look the same in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well,
like
again, it comes back to at least don't lie to us, right? Tell us exactly why it's so important for us to be involved in all the oil interests in the Middle East, right? Just be like, look, the U.S. dollar is traded in oil, and if the people that we're friends with lose control of it or decide to back out, then our economy will collapse. At least that'll get the question started, being like, okay, well, if that's true, how do we undo that? Right? And then they don't, well, yeah, we can't, but no, we absolutely can. It's just painful. It would be painful, right?
We can't, you know what I mean? Like literally we can't, we cannot do it. And like, we're not talking painful. We're talking revolution at that point. We're talking this country will not exist in a month. I promise that. Will not exist in a month.
You think it'll jump straight to riots in the streets?
Well, when you're trying to pull, all your money out of every fucking account, and there's a run on every bank in the goddamn country, and you can't afford fucking bread, and motherfuckers are goddamn starving. Like, yo, look here,
Well, there won't be
every
any runs
country,
on the bank. They'll just get infused with a whole bunch of worthless currency.
yeah, again, the currency will be worthless though, right? So like,
you'll get your money. I'm just saying that won't happen again. You won't be in a situation where you can't get your money. It's not going to be worth anything.
You will. No, banks, and then no. Banks are going to lock shit the fuck down. Like they will just flat close them. Like they did it before, and they'll do it the fuck again. They will close ATMs. They will close banks. They will close Wall Street. You know what I mean? And like they'll try to ride out the fucking storm, but it ain't going to goddamn work. Every country is 5 meals away from revolution.
But think about this, man. You'll finally get to sit inside and go for the high score.
Okay. Like, let me check this out. So I'm gonna tell you a story, like directly related to this that happened to me yesterday, right? So I drove down to Virginia yesterday, and I was going down through Washington, D.C. and fucking down 95, which is like anybody knows anything about D.C. or fucking, traffic. It was goddamn awful, and it was fucking fucking psycho. Exactly, that went well. But yeah. So like I was driving down through, and it was torrential downpours and like fucking hail, and it was goddamn ridiculous. It was fucking hurricane conditions. It took me 8 hours to get to fucking Richmond, right? And it's usually like a 5-hour trip. And I get down here and I drop off my load and I go to the truck stop. And it's still raining. I get there and I park my truck because I'm like, you know what? I'm fucking done driving today. I'm fucking exhausted. Like looking through a fucking rainy window all day, believe it or not, it will just drain your fucking brain. Like it fucks you up. And I go and like buy a pack of cigarettes because my window was leaking all day long. And fucking like it ended up, I went to reach for my cigarettes and like they were fucking in a puddle of water. Right. So like I have no smokes. I go in to buy a new pack of cigarettes, and the goddamn truck stops closed because there's no fucking power, right? No electricity. And all of a sudden, there was 50 people standing outside of this goddamn truck stop, truck drivers, all of us just hanging out, bitching that we can't get into this motherfucker to goddamn eat or fuel our fucking trucks up. 50 fucking individuals inside of 10 minutes. That's all it took. 10 minutes, and we're all chilling, you know what I'm saying? And if one individual would have thrown a brick through the window to run in, everybody else would have followed him.
Of course, at that point, you're just like, you can't arrest us all, coppers.
That's all it would have took, and there was no police.
Yeah. Okay. Look, I agree. When I said you can turn it back, it just would be painful. So I'm not saying dramatically pull things back. I'm saying it starts with something the lines of, well, let's be fiscally responsible in the system we currently have and fucking pay for what our government spends, and then
you can't.
You would have to start cutting stuff back dramatically and being honest with people about that's the only way we're going to do it.
You can't. I mean, because we're trying that right now, right?
Like not really.
No, we have been. Trump's been cutting programs all over the place, right?
Sure, but the budget just keeps like there hasn't been a budget cut forever. And he approves increases in shit like military spending. Like you have to cut that back. Like, okay, so look, this is how it would have to go. You get to the point where our heads above water and we're not building debt every year. And I'm not talking about just cutting the deficit. And then you slowly start chipping away at the debt. And then maybe 30 or 40 years down the line, you can start introducing competing currencies. Like it would be a long process, and yeah, it'd be painful in intervals. But in the long run, that's what needs to happen. It's just not. So you either take steps to stop the collapse, or it's inevitable anyway. There's no keeping it. Like I mean, we can keep it going maybe for our lifetime, but we're not going to keep going for 100 years under the current system. It's just not. It's not going to work.
Well, no. Let me tell you like this, right? So let me tell you this way, right? You can't do that either, all right? Because you end up running into liquidity problems inside of the system as a whole, right? Because the rest of the world still uses our currency to fucking stand here and do transactions with, whether it be oil or whatever the case might be. Like they're doing short sales or trading dollars for euros or whatever it is, right? They fucking have the Swift system out there. And so they need a certain number of dollars in the fucking system, right? In order to remain liquid and have the assets to be able to move things around and make out loans and continue to grow the economy, whatever the case might be. So recently we've ran into a bunch of issues where there's not enough money, right? Like legit, there's just not enough money. So what they had to do was they had to start printing out fucking money and handing it out to fucking overnight lenders and shit, right? Overnight fucking the overnight fucking bond market and shit, overnight equity market, because there wasn't enough fucking money in the system. They literally the banks ran out of fucking money because they're doing transactions overseas.
Yeah, okay. Like, I mean, if the banks are running it, that's systemic of the issue I'm talking about. Like I said, if that's happening, we're fucked anyway. So you're just saying eat the black pill now because it's all coming to an end.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
God, like, look, Pnoid, quit trying to like come down on me just for saying like, look, it might not go well, but it's worth it to maybe try to take some steps now to mitigate the coming disaster. And you're just saying, nope, nothing we can do, not even possible. And I'm saying, well, fuck, if there's nothing we can do, this is one of those few things, like, you're sitting there and just like, a meteor's gonna hit the earth and we're all gonna die. And then somebody's like, well, hell yeah, let's build these underground bunkers and maybe some of us can survive. And you're like, nope, that won't work because there's fucking radiation and some bullshit underground and we're all gonna die anyway. And I was like, well, I'd rather build the bunkers just in case it might work.
Napple, what up, nigga? Right. I feel where you are, Excel. I do. I feel completely where you're at, right? You know what I'm saying? But what I'm telling you is I would much rather not spend my last like fucking few hours digging a goddamn hole. You know what I mean? That's not going to protect me. I'd much rather spend my time looting and stealing sneakers. That's where I'm at, I'd much rather be walking out of a fucking place with a giant TV on my back.
Right, say the best solution is let it all come down, loot the fuck out of shit, and then see what comes from the ashes.
Yeah, because it needs rebuilt from the ground up. Because like the systemic problems at this point are so fucking glaringly massive that you can't fix this situation. Like there is no fixing it. There is no going back. What up, Sir Smackabear? How the fuck you doing?
Well, I mean,
I'm assuming you changed your name from something else because I don't recognize you. Or you might be somebody who I know. I'm not real sure. But anyway, fucking what I'm saying is that, you can't stand here and, fix the goddamn system while you still have individuals voting for communism. You know what I mean? And people that are completely reliant upon the system and individuals who like whole markets of the fucking economy. Like for instance, there's a town up north from where I live at. It's called Frackville, right? And Frackville has a state prison in it and nothing else, right? There's nothing the fuck else in the entire town. The entire town lives off of two things: Frackville prison fucking workers and people collecting Social Security. That is their entire tax base. The fuck do you do for some place like that? What do you do for a bunch of places like that? Because there's tons of them all over this fucking country. What happens when you start cutting back, dude? What happens? What happens when you start taking money away?
Well,
you're going to watch these
in the
fucking
long
places
term, they're going to turn into
fucking
ghost towns, and the people that can be productive are going to find something more productive to do.
They're going to move to the fucking cities and clog up the goddamn cities and end up fucking trying to eat off of everybody the fuck else. And then like they're gonna scream for more fucking communism, and you won't be able to fucking do it because you're cutting back on your goddamn fucking spending because there's nobody to give them fucking money. There's not gonna be any goddamn shit, and it's gonna end up resulting in the same position I'm already talking about, but in the much longer, more drawn out way where we have more people dying. I'm saying get it over fucking fast and goddamn quick and admit our fucking faults and fix it now. You know what I mean? Where we can go, look, we got to take away fucking females voting rights. We need to fucking stand here and fix everything. We need to fucking stop spending right the fuck now. We need to get out of these fucking contracts of fucking the Bretton Woods Agreement and all this other bullshit. Psycho, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard, right? Space expansion is not the fucking solution. Nigga, we don't know what our oceans look like.
If space was the solution, we'd already have rockets going to asteroids to mine them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the same thing with green energy. If that was the solution, we'd already have companies just coming up with green energy, all the time, because it's not like it's not in demand. It's just it's too fucking expensive unless you subsidize it, which means somebody else is paying for it, not you. So
Yo, weed is worthless as well. Like Colorado, when they fucking legalized weed, everybody's like, look at what Colorado did. Like, yo, here's the deal. They're like, they made $230 million off fucking weed. And I was like, yo, nigga, their budget shortfalls like fucking like 8.4 billion.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's one of those things where with the weed thing, is it good to legalize it, right? So it took money out of the black market economy and put it, above board. That's how I see it. And it had an influx of people move in just because they wanted to spend money on weed. But because they're also a super liberal city, they got like kind of like the worst of the fucking weed smokers to show up. I mean, I know people that went there for the weed. Yeah. Man, they are not okay. One guy went there because he was a chemist and went and worked for an edibles company. That's the exception to the rule. Another guy, he was he used to live with me, man. We tried to help this kid. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get the ideas. Like, dude, you gotta work. Like, you gotta take some shit in order to make money. He just never wanted to do it, man. He always wanted to try to side hustle or something like that. And now he's homeless in Colorado, and he basically just moved there for the weed.
What you did was you attracted hippies.
Yeah, for real. It's exactly that episode of South Park. That's what happened. Yeah, right? All the homeless people started showing up, and it's the hippies. Like, they would just be like in your attic with drum circles randomly. You have to call in the fucking exterminator to get them out of your house. Find them in like cracks in your wall and shit.
You don't want a fucking infestation of hippies. They're like, they're gonna bring in money. No, they won't.
These people don't like to work.
They're gonna fucking talk about communism and giving away free shit.
Yeah, you're gonna get tax money, but all they're gonna do is take that tax money to go spend it on the weed that's giving you the tax money. Like, the math isn't gonna add up. You're only taxing it 20%. Eventually, it's gonna turn into a loss.
Yo, Brandon, it all depends on what it is. Probably like 3 stacks for a decent, shit. Fucking, for whatever, like middies or whatever the fucking normal shit is, probably like $2,000. Yo, we grow our own shit out here though, but it is what it is. Yo, it's fucking, man, look, this is the problem. Like, everybody's like, oh man, we can legalize weed and make it make it happen. I'm just like, yo, no, the fuck you can't. Like, man, we need to talk about real solutions.
Yeah,
like
legalizing
real fucking solutions.
Legalizing weed and taxing it. I mean, just legalizing weed, it solves some other issues. It doesn't solve our financial problems. Like, the fact that the state can tax it, I mean, great, right? So instead of putting people in jail for smoking weed, the state's making a little bit of money, but they're probably going to spend it on dumb shit anyway. That's the other thing. Like, every time the government gets more money, it's not like they use it to fill the shortfalls they have. They use it as an excuse to spend more.
Yeah. And here's the bitch is like, they never repeal taxes.
Yeah.
Like, ever, right? Like, here's the thing. Like, so when you have old taxes, right? You have old ways of taxing people. Like, the original way of tax people was property tax, right? And then, they added on tariffs. And then, they stood here and added on motherfucking, like, income taxes, right? And then they started adding on these fucking local fees and taxes and shit. And then occupancy taxes and fucking registration for your cars and all this shit. And at no point did they go, hey, maybe we should get rid of some of these older fucking taxes before we move fucking forward.
Yeah, that's all the people that go for the fair tax and whatnot. They think that's a good plan. I was like, you don't want to do that. Like, they're going to just add that on top of, like, our already convoluted income tax structure.
It's the dumbest shit ever.
You make a federal VAT tax.
Yeah.
They're just going to do that on top of our income taxes. It's not... It's just, it always goes that way, right? Like, even when the income tax passed, which, apparently there's some shenanigans around whether or not that amendment actually passed, but nonetheless, even at the time, they're just like, look, it's one of those things where we know it's not great, but only like maybe like 2% of the population will even pay it, and it's only going to be a certain percentage, and it'll help fund the war. And look what happened to that. Right? Even I pay 15% of my income to the federal government, more like 20, right? 20% to the federal government, 5% to the state. And that's not even including what I pay in the taxes you don't see, right? Like, or the, adding up my property tax for my car and shit like that. So,
like, yo, on top of that, like, fucking, like, bro, I pay something like 30% of my fucking income to the government, and then, or the federal government, then I pay like another 15% to state and local, right? And then on top of that, I got fucking registration on the goddamn car, and then fucking sales tax and all the rest of the shit.
Yeah, well, and after you're done with child support, you get 20% of your check.
Yeah, it's fucking dumb, right? Legit. It's like 50%, but still. And like, here's the real bitch is fucking like, on top of that, we have things like fucking occupational checks, right? Like fucking they tax you for being fucking employed, right? Like there's a $52 fee every year you pay to be able to work in the state. You know what I mean? Like, yo, fucking they will stand here and tax you to death to be able to pay for shit because they have no fucking money. You know what I mean? And they're gonna it's gonna get worse. Like, and that's something I wanted to mention. Like, fucking, like, yo, as this shit like winds up, you know what I mean, as like this whole fucking collapse thing goes on, expect increased law enforcement on the motherfucking, like, to just be fucking with everybody trying to collect local fucking fees. That's gonna be a very big.
Well, that
thing
already
for us.
happened. That already happens in towns that are having problems, especially small towns that are having problems. They just speed traps constantly. They'll pull you over for going 5 over, knowing that, like, yeah, if you showed up to court, like, you're gonna get dismissed because of equipment failure or something like that. Because there's a reason most cops, like in the city, don't pull you over for 5 over. One, they need the money, but they don't need it that much. Two, they're gonna find somebody going 10 over, which you can't beat in court. But these small towns, they just try to get the passerbys, knowing that there's no way in hell that somebody that's, just driving 4 hours from one city to the next is going to show up to court to deal with the fine. They're just going to mail it in.
Yeah. And these niggas is still talking about goddamn weed in the motherfucking chat and shit.
Yeah, well, it's a popular thing. Like, we're like the 2 people on YouTube that don't smoke weed.
Yo, it's weird. Like, cause I'm just.
It really is, isn't it? Like almost fucking everybody else that we talk to on YouTube smokes weed.
Yeah, I just don't do it. I don't fucking like. Man, I have a job where I get piss tested and hair tested and shit. Like, it's just not worth it for me to smoke weed.
And I've just said it's not my drug of choice. The other night I was actually saying I need to go. Like, I have a bowl that my ex-girlfriend left here, so I have a device to smoke marijuana out of. And I was like, you know what? I wouldn't mind to smoke just a little bit of weed tonight if I had some, but that's rare. So I just don't get it. I usually don't care to be high.
Yo, it's just, man, it's not worth it for me. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's not worth it. You can't, even if you wanted to have that, even if you got that itch. Like, I can if I wanted to. I rarely get that itch, so I never have any around. I guarantee if I went and like just bought like a little bit of weed, like if I bought a quarter, which is, I don't know, usually that's the lowest I can buy from the people I know, because all my drug dealers are adult drug dealers. They would actually, if I just said I wanted a bowl, they'd probably just give it to me. They'd just be like, here's a little bit of a nug, like, have fun. It would probably go in a place in one of my drawers in a pill bottle or something, and it would probably just sit there. Like, I'd smoke a little bit, and then that pipe would go back in there too, not even finished, and it'd still be there 6 months later.
Like, yeah, and I'm not a big weed head just to begin with. Like, legit, even when I was like, I can't say that. When I was smoking weed, I was a heavy weed head, but like, fucking,
it was probably more because all your friends were fucking doing it, so you're like, why not?
Well, it's not just that, man, but like, fucking life was fucking awful back then. You know what I mean? Like, it was a whole different animal of life. Like, you go to work every day and you're throwing around like 2,000 pounds worth of fucking steel an hour and shit, and fucking just hustling and slanging and banging all fucking day long, and just, like, life was garbage, and you were making like fucking $8 an hour. Like, just life was a terrible thing to be in at that moment.
Yeah. So there was a point. There was a point in my life where actually life was fucking great. I thought I was a rock star. Honestly, I was being a fucking deadbeat, but we've talked about this. We don't need to get into it. But yeah, like when I was playing in bands and shit, like everybody in the band smoked weed, and this is still like, between 9 and 15 years ago, where we still were smoking Mexican ditch weed, so I could handle it. And people would light up blunts and pass them around, and I would just be like, fuck it, I guess. Right? Why not? I'd get a little high. I didn't particularly enjoy it. It was okay. What, like, every fucking time it happened, it turned into me being like, all right, man, who wants to go get dollar menu? And that's when you could actually get a McDouble for $1. So we just go order like 20 McDoubles between the four of us, and we'd eat
we used to go and get like fucking 10 junior bacon cheeseburgers and shit.
Yeah, that's the kind of shit. That's exactly what we were doing. And so, like, it's when all that shit stopped, I just didn't smoke weed. And like, when people asked me why I didn't, it was like, dude, every time I smoke pot, all that's gonna happen is I'm gonna get super hungry. I'm gonna eat a whole pizza, and then I'm gonna fall asleep. That's the best case scenario. Sometimes I would get really bad anxiety, that's a different thing. But it wasn't as bad back then because, like I said, we were smoking Mexican ditch weed. Like, that shit, like, I can't even find it. I know that apparently, like, if you live in Colorado, you can be like, you can buy some like low grade shit if you just can't handle it. Yeah, everybody I know always has fucking like the Colorado nug shit, and like 2 hits off of that, and I'm like way more fucking stoned than I ever was whenever we were passing around an entire blunt back in the day.
Oh, I remember them days. Like, yo, you were smoking that fucking garbage and shit, right? Like, fucking, like, and we thought it was like,
you had to get it off of grape swisher. Like, the reason you were using those grape swisher sweets to wrap your fucking weed in is because that grape wrap made it taste better.
Well, we had the chocolate Phillies and shit. You know.
Well, yeah, I'm
really
just saying whatever. Different people I knew like different things, but it was always some sort of flavored fucking cigarello or whatever they call them.
Yeah, well, we didn't have the flavored wraps and shit when I was smoking. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, like, when I was smoking and shit, it was just like you had Philly blunts, and then they came out with White Owls, right? And that was pretty much it for a long time. Then they had like the Philly Titans if you wanted to roll up them motherfucking dog dicks, we used to call them, right? We rolled them big ass motherfucking blunts with like fucking a quarter ounce in them bitches and shit all chopped up. And like you would stand here and we take these motherfucking, we call snessy pillows and shit. You know, the motherfucking fat little fucking, you know, I mean, dimes and quarter sacks and shit. Take them and chop them up or whatever, and then fucking, you know, put them up in the motherfucking John or whatever. And like, man, we used to get hired into giraffe pussy just sitting around motherfucking smoking our fucking nuts off. We'd cut the weed, like we'd fucking stand here and like mix like different weeds the fuck together and shit. Like we'd mix like fucking low grade shit with like that creeper weed with some motherfucking high grade shit. And it would get you high like 3 different times. Like fucking like you'd be like fuck, you'd had like that dirt weed hit you at first, and then like that super fucking duper weed would hit you. And you'd like, you know, you're out walking in the woods or whatever, walking the fuck home, trying to like get back to the crib, and like 20 minutes later, like all of a sudden that creeper weed get a hold of you, and all of a sudden, like, because you thought it was like, you thought your high was wearing off a little, you know what I mean? Because like the wind's hitting your face.
Yeah, no, dude, that's back when I would hit my friend's giant beanbag chair and fucking watch Ren and Stimpy. No, I'd been there. Like I said, I smoked just like you. I don't smoke weed anymore, but I used to smoke it a lot, and it's not that I was ever out to get it for me. It was just always around. But to get that good weed, I had to go to my rich friends' houses, which were all my Magic the Gathering buddies back in the day. They all came from Johnson County, which is the rich part of town. And one dude just always had nothing but good weed because he could afford it.
Yeah, see, we didn't always have good weed and shit. Like we didn't have the ability to always get a hold of like really good shit. Yo, Ortiz, what up, man? You know what I'm saying? Fucking like, yo, we'd stand here, we'd fucking, yo, we just smoke our motherfucking dicks off, you know? And like, man, like I used to not like I wouldn't go to school unless I was high.
It's the only way I could tolerate this shit.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Nowadays,
like, yo, because
nowadays you could argue that this is medicinal.
right, like, yo, because yo, what up, Beyond My Purview? How the fuck you doing? Right. But I was like, yo, I was in my motherfucking like, yo, because I went to school, and like fucking like I always felt like, if you, why the hell do I have to be here? You know what I mean? But you don't gotta pay me. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you should be paying me to come here every fucking day and shit. Like, like why am I here when I'm not making money? Like I don't understand why it is I have to be stuck in this bitch all day long dealing with y'all's retarded ass fucking nonsense, right? And like, yo, I gotta be sober, and I gotta fucking show up places, and you don't gotta pay me. And if I don't show up, like you can find, like, fuck off, like, for fuck's sake. Like I'm not doing all that bullshit, bro. Like get the fuck out of here, man. Like I was good. So like every day I'd show up like 10:30, 11 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? Hi. And like I'd go into the motherfucking lunchroom and I'd sit down and I'd eat 3 lunches. I'd go to gym class, you know what I'm saying? Because I could tolerate that. And then I had like a history class I kind of liked. And then I had like another class where it was like for like not I don't want to say retards, but it was like for everybody who failed, right? You know, what I mean, just all of us who didn't give a fuck, right? And they would stand here and like there would be the place where like everybody would beef and have problems. Like, you know how like we you know, like, I hang
no,
out.
I understand. No, they had the degenerate classes. You were in those.
Yeah, yeah, and I like going to those classes because you never know what was gonna happen. You know what I'm saying?
It was exciting.
Yeah, like you know, what I mean, like niggas would just pop up and hit motherfuckers in the middle of class, like you know, like motherfuckers get stabbed and shit.
Jerry.
Yeah, you know, like fucking every once in a while it was your turn, but other than that, you know, like it was fun, it was a fucking fun time that he had. You know, and then you leave, and what I do is usually I'd like hop on the wrong bus and I'd go somewhere where I wanted to go to, like towards like the mall or like fucking like go hang out at the bitch's house or one of my buddies or some shit. And I mean, and then like I'd fucking, you know, walk my ass the fuck home or catch a ride later, whatever the case might be. But like, you know, like yeah, as I said, like fucking school for me, like it was yo, it was so awful because let me be perfectly honest with you here. Like, yo, I never understood the reason to go to school. Like, I never fucking got it. You know what I mean? After like I stopped learning, you know what I mean? Because like I'm just like, dude, look, all right, you know, I can do all this math. I can fucking, you know what I mean, tell you all the science bullshit you want to know. I can do all this bullshit. Like, why the fuck am I here? And like what they used to do is like I'd go into school and like I'd fuck up something, right? Like fucking whatever the case might be. I'd get in a fight or I'd push somebody or like I'd fucking take a leak in the hallway, whatever the fuck I wanted to do, right? And I'd get suspended, right? I'd get suspended for 10 days, right? And then like fucking I'd leave for 10 days and then I'd have to come back for 2 legally, right? And I come back for the 2 days and then I get suspended for another 10. Like I mean, light up a cigarette in the middle of the fucking office in front of the receptionist and shit, right? You know what I mean? Because like I didn't care, right? I was like, whatever.
You're the reason out of school suspension should not exist if the goal is to get kids engaged.
Yeah.
You're just like, so you're saying if I don't go to school, I get fined unless I do something like light up a cigarette in the hallway, in which case you're going to give me 10 days of out of school suspension and I can do whatever the fuck I want. And when the cops bother me, I can say, go talk to the school. I have out of school suspension.
But like the bitch is after a while, you start forgetting when you're supposed to be in school, right? Like, like you just like, am I supposed to be in school? And like you call into the office and be like, oh, am I supposed to be there today? And they're like, you were supposed to be here a week ago. And I was like, fuck, why didn't nobody call me? They're like, we didn't miss you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is, right?
That's,
like,
that's when you know you were one of the bad kids, is when the administration's just giving up. They would like, to be honest, I was hoping you wouldn't call because we weren't going to ask any questions.
Yeah. Like, you know, fucking like they eventually made the trade-off where like, yo, look, man, just stay the fuck home. You know what I'm saying? And we'll stop fining you until you're 17 and like you can sign yourself out. Like, we don't want to fucking have to keep dealing with you all the goddamn time and shit. You know, like fucking when I took my fucking thing around, like the fucking like, cause like when you sign out of school, you have to go like get all your teachers to sign the fucking thing or whatever. And I went to all my teachers, and all of them were super enthusiastic about me leaving. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So I just feel like look, I know it's public education, right? So you're only going to get what you get, but I just feel like there's something they could have done for you to be like, look, I know you hate all this bullshit. We're going to send you show up to this Votech class, learn how to fucking do machine stuff, right?
Well, no, I tried that, right? I tried to go to Votech, but the problem is when I went to Votech, all right, here's what happened. Okay, so I went to Votech for like 3 months, all right? And this was the first time that the 3 amigos had been put together, all right? Like fucking ever in the history of us. Because we were all in 3 different like locations. Like fucking Shotzi was motherfucking over at the Jom. Little Ricky was, I think, a grade above us and he failed. And then I was over at fucking East and shit. And so when I got over to tech, right, and fucking like I got there, the 3 of us got together and we ended up like fucking kind of just banding together, and it didn't turn out well, like in any
All right.
way, shape, or form.
All
Like,
right,
because like now
so that
we
might
had
have
the
worked if
squad.
it wasn't for the fact that your squad was around you and they were probably you guys. Well, I don't want to say they were bad influences because I know exactly how that works. Is that you guys were a bad influence around each other?
Like, this is the dude who got me investigated by the FBI, right? When I was like 13. The other dude got hit by 3 cars in the cat bus, right? And fucking like, then it was me, you know what I mean? And like, I was doing whatever I was doing. The only one that was missing was my boy fucking Juice and shit. Fucking, that was the only nigga that was missing out of the squad. And like, so like fucking Ricky was bringing in the heavy white, you know what I'm saying? I was moving the motherfucking weed. Me and Shotzi were both doing the motherfucking muscle because Ricky was like 5'2", but Ricky was a type of nigga like he would swing on anybody at any given time and shit. You know what I mean? And so like it was a constant state of getting in fights and doing all types of nonsense. And I ended up, all right, look, here's what happened. The principal had fucking stood here and called me into the office and was asking me some questions. And he's like, and I told him the answer to the fucking questions. You know what I mean? I was like, nigga, it wasn't me. And he's like, you fucking lying. I was like, nigga, don't say I'm lying, bro. Like, I don't lie. I mean, it's unnecessary for me. I'll tell you the fucking truth. Right. And then he's like, you're fucking lying. I was like, you say that shit one more time, I'm coming over this desk, dude. It is what it is. And then he's like, you fucking lying. And I went over the desk and I hit this nigga in the mouth. Right. And apparently you're not allowed to hit a principal in the mouth. I didn't know that this was a fucking rule. Right.
Was that your defense whenever the police showed you up and escorted you out of the building?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry, officer. I didn't know I couldn't do that.
Yeah, right.
Put on your white person voice.
No, I was like, yeah, it is what it is. So I walked out of there with my Carl Kanai fucking jean suit on and shit, you know what I mean? And my fucking bandana because I thought I was like super thug at that point. Right. And I mean, I left out of that fucking joint and they ended up putting me back into the normal school. And I think I ended up I got locked up I think that year. I got locked up. I did like fucking 10 months and shit for swinging on a cop. And then like fucking that was, you know, I mean, that was all she wrote for me. You know, I mean, as far as shit was concerned, after that was probation, work, going to school for a little bit, and then fucking, you know, I mean, signing myself out. And that was the end of the day for education for me. It just wasn't like school was not worth doing at all. Like, because like I'm intelligent enough to do all this shit. You know, what I mean, I could have went to college and made something of myself, but like the reality is the fuck's the goddamn point? Like I can make more money not going to fucking college than I would have made going to college.
And Pnoid explains in several words exactly why young black men, you know, are failing. you dug yourself out, but I mean, I guarantee you the story is the same for a lot of them, even the ones that didn't, you know, get into major trouble.
Yeah. It's almost the same for everybody. You know what I mean? Like the ones who did get into major trouble, like they never dug themselves out and they're still in a bad situation today. Like my boy, he just hit me up today or yesterday. I forget which one it is. You know, I mean, he's about to lay it down for 12 years for kidnapping. Fucking my other nigga just went in for 4. Fucking I don't know what shots he's up to. That nigga, like he's fucking retarded, you know what I mean? But he'll be on bail. Actually, his great grandkids will be on bail. They're on parole. Like
Neffle's job wants him to learn network management. I just want to say, good for you, Neffel. You should totally do that. There's gonna be room for network peeps in almost every company for a long time. So
I don't know. I feel like those guys will not be around.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So when the grid collapses, sure. But I'm just saying, like it's profitable.
Learn how to do push-ups. That's what I'm saying.
Make as much money as you can.
But anyway, man, yo, man, we've been streaming for like fucking an hour and a half, and I gotta go to work. So, like, we got started late. You know, what I mean, it's 10:30, so I think it's time to get the fuck out of here, my nigga. Okay. Well, you can start streaming again. Why don't you do the Nights at the Coffee Table tonight, man?
Just go do my own stream. Yeah, you know, I've talked about that. So anybody that's curious, I think there's a couple people that dropped into Nights at the Coffee Table sometimes. When Sunrise and Bash lost internet, it became almost impossible to do the show. I mean,
right.
they'll be on their phone, cutting out roboting. They can't follow along with the mic. How the fuck are you going to talk about video games without showing videos? Or like pictures at least. Like, it's not just a talk show. Like, we're talking about actual video games. You got to show people what you're talking about in the video game. Not to mention that, but part of it was to be able to play games together. Well, can't fucking play games together with people that don't have internet, so...
well, I think Sinrise got his internet back.
Yeah, Sinrise got it. Look, I know, and Vash, I'm still working on, but we're probably looking after the first of the year, and then it's gonna go to Twitch, and I'm gonna try to come up with some sort of formatting. I don't know what that's gonna be yet. I feel like just sitting around and having another basically Pnoid live stream, except it's me, Sinrise, and Stone Monkey and Vash, and occasionally covering video game topics. I was just like, what's the point? Like, I stream about this shit all the time anyway, so.
I feel you. But anyway, man, look, I'm going to Ohio. Fucking like, yo, Exel, like, dude, nigga, you need to like do something for yourself, man. Like, real shit, cause like you're the shit. And I mean, you're fucking awesome.
You really want me to do YouTube career stuff instead of the other crap I've been doing, like, investing. I've actually done a little bit of day trading, man. I've made $150. Well, not day trading. I've made $150 just like flipping a few stocks around. I'm just like, that's cool. I'll have to report that on my taxes. I can't wait.
Shit, man, I'm gonna have to give you some money from me. Fucking
been doing that, and then I've also been investing in Magic the Gathering sealed product. We'll see how that goes. So far, it's pretty good. I actually started doing it a couple years ago. So the way this works, right? There's just like a high demand for sealed product after shit goes out of print, and it's pretty consistent. But yeah, like there's a box that was in print a couple years ago. I bought it, or when I started, bought them for $80 a box. I got like 3 of them. Now I can flip them on eBay for $120 plus shipping. So that's a pretty good return over 2 years. And I just keep stocking up on it. Like I have a whole closet. I have a closet full of like 20 sealed boxes of Magic the Gathering product.
Yeah, I feel you. My boy got me into these fucking silver coins and shit from fucking like a limited state run from this fucking mint and shit.
That would probably be smarter for me to do, but I know Magic the Gathering, so I just... Plus, it's cool to show off to my nerd friends all the sealed product I have.
Yeah, like these are 2-ounce fucking silver coins and shit, and like they jump in value. Like next year they'll be worth like I think like $150 a piece, and I bought them for 60 each. So like I mean, it's not gonna be a bad fucking hustle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, completely get it. But anyway, dude, you gotta go. We're getting on a tangent, man. We'll save it for the next stream. Give me the magic words, Pnoid.
Yo, man, shut this bitch down.